Hello, everyone. My name is Kathryn Manga. I am working with Kilusang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas, or the Peasant Movement of the Philippines. I am a land rights activist. I have been an activist since I think I was 20 or 19 years old, since I was in college. I've been working with KMP for almost 3 years now. Um, Kilusang Magbubukid ng Pilipinas, or KMP, is an organization of farmers, peasants. We define peasants as landless farmers who are actual tillers who do not own the land they till. We also have members who are women, indigenous people, and young farmers in the different regions of the Philippines. Right now, we have 65 provincial chapters, and we represent more than 1.3 million Filipino farmers in the country. The mission of our organization is to advocate and campaign for genuine agrarian reform and genuine social change. In the Philippines, there are not less than 9 out of 10 farmers do not own the land they till. And for us, this is a very big issue and a very big thing. That's why the life of the farmers, which are the majority of the Filipino people in the country, rests on the fact that they need to have land so that they can have a decent life and decent livelihood. And for the farms, we have, as I said, we have different chapters in the whole of the country. But right now, we are working with farmers in Southern Tagalog and in Bulacan. That is the closest in Metro Manila. Our national office is located in Metro Manila. But the farms are like 30 to 40 kilometers outside of Metro Manila. So right now, the closest that we are working with are the Bulacan farmers. Many of them are residing near the Sierra Madre range of the Philippines. The Sierra Madre range is very important to the Luzon region, to the biggest group of islands in the Philippines. It's important because it is the longest mountain range, and the Philippines as a country that is very often visited by typhoon. Like sometimes we have 5 typhoons in 1 month, and this range protects the region with the strong winds and the storm surges. So the work of our farmers as stewards of that land, as stewards of the mountains, and as people who preserve the bounty and the richness of that mountain is very important. For us Filipino peasants, land is life. So that is where we get our food, that is where we get our livelihood, that is where our families depend for the education of young children in the rural areas. So without land and if our relationship to the land is cut, we become lost in our lives, basically. So for our organization, struggling for land and the development of our communities, which mostly are farming, is very, very important. And we feel that our work in asserting our right to the land is not just for our sake, but for the sake of the next generation. Because if without the farmers right now, if the current farmers in the country right now will not assert for their right to till or their right to to be in this land that they are farming, we feel that the next generation will not be able to enjoy or even get to know what it is like to have a relationship with the land and a relationship with the environment. As many of our farmers have said, we cannot eat cement. Whatever development that comes to our community, if when they call it development, those are infrastructures and building, but we cannot eat that. And we have proven that during the pandemic, because during the pandemic, everybody went looking for healthy food, went looking for the, the, the available vegetables that they can get. And I think that during the pandemic, it was then that they realized how important the work of the farmers are. And so we feel like our work rests on how we continue to assert our right to our land. Right? In our context, I think the biggest challenge that we have with regards to the young farmers right now who are trying to still exist as farmers and to develop their own land together with their parents is that first, in our country, as I have said, many of our tillers do not own their land. So basically, they are landless. To be able to plant or to farm, they must have the will to stay and assert their right to till or to plant. And that only happens when they have an organization with them, because if not, they will easily be displaced, and harassments will come. And in the Philippines, there are many harassments. That is another challenge. Right now, KMP has already counted 333 farmers killed, and these are farmers who have been very vocal of and critical of the policies that have been very much anti-farmers and anti-poor in the Philippines. So that's the second one, the harassments and the killings happening among the farmers and the rural poor in the Philippines. The third one, I think, is the different policies that is being implemented by the government, as well as in cahoots with the different transnational corporations that are that are very much active in the Philippines. So some of this, for example, the policies are the rice liberalization law. So the Philippines is as an agricultural country is also one of the top producers of rice in the world. But with the rice liberalization law, many of our farmers have become indebted already. And because they are deep in debt, with the influx of the imported rice coming from Vietnam, Thailand, India, and the different parts of Asia, many of our farmers have already sold off or have already been displaced of their land. Another policy that is really wreaking havoc in our farms is the Build, Build, Build program of the current administration, the current Duterte administration. For example, in Central Luzon, the rice granary of the country, there are different infrastructure programs that is going to be built in the region. But let me just tell you that there are 20 dams that's going to be built in just one region, 20 dams. And it will cover thousands and thousands of hectares of farmlands and lands of indigenous peoples in that region. Right now, many of these farmers have already been displaced because the building of these dams and other infrastructure, they call it the metropolis or the acropolis, have already started. So that is only in region 3, and there are 12 regions in the country. I think that is the biggest challenge for the young people right now. In what our farmers always say is that, how can the young people be interested in farming when what they are going to inherit is not land? It's not the knowledge of farming, but the debt that is right now one of the biggest challenges of the farmers. So with that debt, many of the young farmers are not anymore interested. And I think that is a very, very big challenge that our country and our organization is also going through. Right now, the Filipino farmers, in particular the farmers that are members of KMP, are doing many practices that I think are have been there for long, and have been our practices to counter the different aggressions and the different corporate aggressions happening in agriculture in the country. So, for example, one of our best practices that I can share with you is our bungkalan. So we have 3 B's that we are doing right now. We have bungkalan, bagsakan, and bayanihan. So I'll tell you about bungkalan. Bungkalan is our land cultivation program. So in 2017, so after many years of the unsuccessful comprehensive agrarian reform program of the different administrations of the Philippines, for almost 40 years, no genuine land reform happens in the Philippines. And until the very end, 75% of the beneficiaries of that agrarian reform program were still not able to amortize for the land. And so many of the land were eventually returned to the government and converted to different use. So in 2017, KMP led a national campaign for Bungkalan. Bungkalan is our land cultivation program. In Bungkalan, as an organization, we assert our right to occupy land which have not been planted on, or which have not been converted yet. With this program, we are able to decide among ourselves what sustainable ways or what sustainable practices we can do. Collectively, the farmers decide on what plants or what vegetables to plant, what varieties to plant, if it is organic, and what kind of system will be sustainable for the land and for the community. So it empowers the farmer. It gives the farmer sustainability, and somehow it has amid the different harassments, because the harassments continue. Amid the different harassments happening, they are still able to farm and they are still able to harvest. So the next best practice that we do is our bagsakan. Bagsakan is our farmers market. So before pre-pandemic, we've had our bagsakan in the different forms. We call it pop-up bagsakan. It's pop-up because the farmers would bring different kinds of products during rallies, during dialogues in the city center, so that even if they're doing their political work, they are still able to earn and they are still able to sell their products to the different networks and to the public. But when the pandemic came, we set up an online bagsakan. So there was a need for the consumers because they were not able to go outside due to the lockdown. And the farmers also were not able to bring their harvest to the market. So what KMP did was we connected them. We became the delivery. We delivered the vegetables to the customers. And with Bagsakan, we were able to triple the profit, we triple the profit of the farmers with their vegetables. So in the communities, there are many traders that buy the products at a very cheap price. But because we were buying bulks from the farmers, the traders were eventually compelled to make the price of the vegetables, the buying price, a little higher. So we were able to compete with the traders. So until now, we are still doing that. We understand and we are aware that this kind of system will not be very much sustainable if it is not a movement that is supporting us. So for us, our online our Facebook page where our customers and our supporters buy the products. Building that page as an advocacy page is something that is very important, because without that, they will not understand why it is important to buy direct from the farmers. And they will not understand that these farmers, where they get the vegetables and where they get their food, are farmers who are struggling every day not to be displaced out of those farms. So it is connected, our Bungkalan and our Bagsakan program. The last one is our Bayanihan. Bayanihan in literally means cooperation. So it's community cooperation. So for us, our Bagsakan sometimes becomes a way for us to have a savings so that we can support the displaced farmers. When we have communities that are already displaced, that means they cannot anymore farm, and they will have to look for other means of livelihood. Many of them go to the cities for other odd jobs, but some of them stay in the community, living with some of their relatives. And with the little profit that we have from Bagsakan, we are able to support them by giving them seed funds for little livelihood, like processing, or what do you call that? We call it byproducts of the other vegetables, or the of other agricultural products. So in KMP, that is how we are trying to counter the different. I cannot think of any other term, but the different attacks that we are experiencing. And I think that with this, somehow we feel that replicating this in other parts of the country, or even in other parts of the world, will be a big help. And in fact, because of the lockdown, we have had many communications and relationships with different farmers in different countries. And one of them is a group of farmers in Yogyakarta in Indonesia. And just last week, we made a module of our online farmers market, and we were able to teach them how we did it. And I think that they are going to do it as well, and they will replicate that kind of system. So I think that little by little, those are the things that we will keep on doing to make things a bit easier for us. But of course, it will not happen if it's only the farmers doing it. So we believe that really a social movement will help us in this situation. For our friends in the different countries and for our friends, we encourage you to keep on supporting farmers from the South. Keep on supporting the products, the local products of your local farmers as well. So I think that one of the ways that we can help is to support our to localize our struggles and to reach out to the international community and let them know of these struggles. We can also do this by listening to the different stories of the farmers, especially the farmers in the South, and letting your community know about what is happening in countries like the Philippines or in other parts of Asia, in Africa, or in other parts of the world. And I think that listening to these stories and telling these stories to other people is enough. But if you want to do more, you can reach out to us, and you can always contact us. And maybe we can be the one to share these stories personally with you and have a dialogue. We feel that talking to people, even in the internet, is like opening our doors and opening our windows, and knowing that there are many other people who are also looking for solutions to the problems that we are experiencing right now. So keep on supporting the farmers.